What do quilters want? I'm going to share what I think. You tell me if you agree. Keep watching. Hi, it's Fran Morgan with Fabric Café. Now, it doesn't matter if you're an experienced quilter or you have just started. There are certain things that everyone wants in a pattern and in their quilting experience. Now, I'm going to show my top 6 that I think are the most important. I want to know if you agree. So let's start off with number 1. Number 1 is easy fabric selection. Now this pattern is our 9+1 pattern. This is a great pattern. It's very simple, very easy. And what we've done here is we have chosen a focus fabric, which is this darling cupcake, and it is our focus. And then we've chosen 2 other for this great 9 patch. Now I've got some fabric samples up here and a great kit to share with you and explain how this all works. Okay, now I don't have the cupcake fabric, unfortunately, but what I do have are some great dinosaurs. Now I'm going to talk about easy fabric selection, which is definitely one of the top points that I feel makes quilting so much more enjoyable whenever the fabrics come together very easily. So with 3-yard quilts, we've created a little system that makes it very simple. The first thing you do is you need to select 3 1-yard cuts. Now, in selecting your first 1-yard cut, you're going to select a fabric that you love. So this is the one that you walk into the store or you're online shopping and it pops up on the screen and you're like, oh my, I've got to have that. It's just amazing. That is your fabric that you love. That's going to be your focus fabric, okay? Usually it's a big print, but it doesn't have to be a big print, but it's the one that you want to showcase. So in this case, we have a darling dinosaur here. So if you had a little boy like I did, he would love this quilt. And these dinosaurs are a perfect number 1 fabric. This fabric is going to go in the largest section of the quilt. Now that's kind of standard for 3-yard quilts. So number 1, focus fabric. Then we're going to take the focus fabric out of the equation here. Then we're going to need 2 additional 1-yard cuts. Very, very simple. The lightest of the 2 is going to be your number 2 fabric. Now the reason why we create this as the lightest is because in all of our 3-yard quilt patterns, the number 2 fabric is the one that we want to fall to the background. That's kind of like the one that gives your eye a rest so that you can really see the focus fabric. So in this case, we have this great green that matches perfectly with the green of the dinosaur. So we do keep that in mind as well. And it's going to go everywhere you see it in the 9 patch here. Now, the darkest of these 2 remaining fabrics, we've got the gold in our case. That is going to be our pop and our zing in our quilt. That's going to help accentuate our focus fabric. So very simple. Here's our number 3. We've got it in our 9 patch. It's our darkest. It's the one that adds the interest and the zing. And it's the one that's going to really pop and help show off that focus fabric. And of course, they all coordinate beautifully. Now, this is a darling kit. And we have a great image for you on the screen of our dinosaurs made up in our 9+1. It is so stinking cute. I just love it. And like I said, I would have been head over heels with this if Blake was still little bitty, but you know, he's kind of grown up now. He still may like it, but all right. Now, one other cool thing you can do with this great fabric strategy that we have for 3-yard quilts is you can switch the positions. So for instance, if you would prefer to have the great gold with all the dinosaur footprints on the border instead of the number 2, you certainly can flip-flop those. And of course, you will still have success as long as you make all of the cuts from that position with that piece, that 1 yard of fabric. So that's very important, but it's very, very doable. All right, now let's get the kit information for this. This is called Stomp, Stomp, Roar. It's just so perfect. And the number is 8023177. It is the 9+1 pattern from the book Quilts for Kids. Now, the next thing quilters are looking for are easy patterns. Now, easy doesn't mean boring. It just means that they go together in a flash. So let's look at our first quilt. Now this is Stepping Stones, and what a great pattern. We have just used this one and used this one. It is definitely one of the go-tos because it is easy and it's simple to put together. The other things, it's got the nice focus fabric block here, as well as the stepping stones in our 9-patch here. Gives great movement, and it's a very interesting quilt and not boring at all. And I've got some great fabric for you. Let me show you. All right, this fabric is calling my name because I think it's gorgeous. And something about teal. I love this turquoisey teal blue-green color so much and just love it. Now, this fabric is going to be gorgeous in this quilt, but before I get into the fabric and show you placement, I want to get the cropping tool out so that you can see how easily this quilt goes together. Okay, so the very first block, so we've got 2 blocks working here. Very first block is this one right here. Now I'm going to crop this so you can see, and I think you're going to agree with me. This is a really, really easy block. It's a square. No piecing necessary, and it's going to show off your focus fabric beautifully. Remember we talked about on the last point how your focus fabric is the one that you want to really shine, and that's your favorite. Well, this quilt's going to do that as well, so that method is perfect every time. Okay, second block. Let's look at that. So here is our second block here. Now this is basically a 9-patch. So whenever you make this, and let me kind of show you, you're going to make units. Our first unit is right here. And basically what we've done is created a strip piece of 3 long strips of fabric, and then we've cut off a little section just like you're slicing a pie, and then that is what creates that first unit. Now we're going to make another unit. Slightly different. Here we go here. Now this unit is made with 2 strips of fabric. Very simple. And we're just going to, we've got our long strips, and then we're just going to slice off the end. Now you're going to make 2 of those. We're going to come over here and we're going to flip it around and make another one, and it goes right there, and it makes, sew it all together, makes this great block. Super simple, but lots of interest. And I love it whenever a quilt goes together fast. Now this is a great quilt if you're a little bit of a new quilter, or if you're just looking for something that goes together in a heartbeat. I mean, this thing is fast and it's very simple, but once again, not boring. All right, let me put this cropping tool down. Let's look at this fabric. This is great fabric. I love this. It kind of makes me think of the top of parasols. Almost like you're at a fancy garden party and you're seeing all the tops of the umbrellas. I just love it. It's kind of fun. So this is going to go everywhere this big block is here. And then our number 2. Now remember, we're taking our focus out of the equation. The lightest is our number 2, and it's going to go everywhere this lighter print is here. And then the darkest of the 2 remaining is our number 3. And it's this great turquoise, and it's going to be all of our little stones in our 9-patch, which is perfect because you see how well that coordinates. Remember, that's what gives us the pop. So looks amazing, absolutely amazing. Now there's an image on the screen so you can see how great it looks too, and you can see all those parasols just twirling in the wind. I just love that, it's great. Let's look at the kit information. It is called Garden Twirls. The number is 8023178. It is called Stepping Stones, and that pattern is from the Pretty Darn Quick book. So, easy patterns, not boring, right? Well, that was a great one if you're just starting out on quilting. Now we have another one. If you've been quilting a little bit and you still really want a fast pattern, I've got a great one. Okay, this is Enchanting, and this is great because, once again, here's our focus fabric. We've got a nice size block so we can really get a spunky fabric in there and really show it off. And then we've bordered with our number 2 and number 3. But what's really cool is we have a little half square triangle right down here that kind of gives a peek of the focus fabric again. Now I've got some pieces and parts for you. Let's look at those. Okay, we've got great fabric too. Now, as I said, if you've been quilting a little bit and you are comfortable with trying half square triangles, or you enjoy half square triangles, this one just has a few, but not too many. So it's a very, very simple pattern to put together. Now, something I do want to mention, and this is our enchanted quilt from the book, The Magic of 3-Yard Quilts. We will step through very easily with the instructions, all of the diagrams, all of the cutting, how to put it together very, very simply. So the instructions are very well thought out here. So the first thing we're going to do, of course, is we are going to cut a square. Remember, you don't get any easier than that, and I love that. So we've got our square down here, and that's going to go in our focus position. Is this fabric not gorgeous? Okay, now we're going to border our square. And we are going to make a strip piece first. So I am going to open this up so that you can see what we're working on here. All right. So what we've done here is we've taken 2 different fabrics and cut a strip. And of course, all the measurements are very clearly spelled out in the pattern. Sew them together. And then we're going to come in and just slice off these little parts here. So remember I said it's just like slicing a pie or something. We make a big one and then we just cut it into sections. This will go on each side of our block, or no, on the tops and the bottoms of our block. All righty. So this is going to go this way. And this one is just reversed and goes this way. Now keep in mind, we do still have our seam allowances on these pieces. So that's the reason why they look just a bit bigger. Okay, now those are our first units that we make. Our second units are made very similarly. What we've got here is the same center part, just like this. So I'm going to pick this up so you can see it. So this is this part right here. Okay, very similar. And then what we've done is just put a half square triangle on each end, one here and one here. And you can see that they're made in the different colorways. Now we're going to make 2 of these for each block. And then we just go in here and lay them down. Oh, this is gorgeous. And I got one more over here so we can do it as well. Let me see if I have this the right way. I think it goes like this. Very, very nice. So that is that simple. It is that easy. So I just love how quickly these go together, and it's just very clear and very fun. Let's look at this fabric. Oh my goodness. You know, if you were in a garden, I don't know, whenever you sit in a garden, like I love to sit outside and look at the flowers, and my husband kind of laughs at me. He's like, "You're planting more flowers?" And I'm like, well, you know, I like to sit out there and just look at them. And sometimes it's not great weather to do that. So this makes me think of the flower garden, like you're sitting out there and you're having a nice refreshing lemonade or iced tea, and there's all of those beautiful colors in the garden. This is that. Is this not just gorgeous? It's that relax at the end of the day and enjoy the beauty around you. So this is our focus fabric, rightly so. And of course it goes in this big block as we saw with our pieces and parts. And then our number 2 fabric. Now this is cool fabric. It kind of looks like it's watercolored or it's gotten wet or something, and it gives you all this great texture. And it picks up all the perfect greens in our focus fabric. And of course this is on our border here. And then our number 3 fabric, wow, what a pop. Here's our pinks. And you can see it's that same kind of watercolory feel to it. Picks up the pinks in here. Just absolutely lovely. Absolutely gorgeous. Let's get the kit info on this. It is called a Florist palette, and the number is 8023179. The pattern is called Enchanting from the book The Magic of 3-Yard Quilts, and the alternate pattern that we're suggesting is Town Square. Now, that was a great pattern, so we've got someone that maybe just started quilting or you need something really fast, and then something with a little bit of a challenge. Now we have something for you that's very interesting, still super easy to do. We're going to step it out. Let's go check out this pattern. Now this is Baubles. Is this not the funnest thing ever? I love the way that this little small snowball creates this ornament look, and then we've got a neat 4-patch here that's made with rectangles. Now isn't that different and interesting? And it just creates something that's totally different and very easy to do. So let's check out the fabric. Okay, and you know my motto, it's never too soon to make Christmas quilts and start planning, because I know it always catches me off guard at the end of the year and I'm like, oh no, I've got 2 weeks left and I have Christmas. Well, let's get started now. So this would be a great one for that. All right, I'm gonna grab the cropping tool so that you can see this block because it's really easy to do and it's surprisingly easy. Now the first thing is we are going to make a snowball block. Now these are very fun to make, they're very easy to do. We have our square and we've put our 4 corners on it, very fast. Then the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make another piece and we're gonna go there and there. Now what this is it's just a strip piece unit here, a white strip, a red strip, and a white strip. We sew all those long strips together, cut off that section, and turn it, and that creates this. Now we're gonna sew this unit to our snowball unit. Boom, just like that. Super simple. The next thing we're gonna do is add a strip of fabric on the border. Now that strip is right here, and then we have another one here. And then the very last step is to add another strip on the bottom. So this is very easy to do. It's not a difficult pattern. I think it's very novel and very unique and makes a great fun quilt. You know what else I think would be really great with this quilt? If you were to make it and hang it on your wall in your dining room or your kitchen or anything like that. And we have a great free goodie sheet on our website that teaches you how to make those hanging rods so that you can hang it up. And I think this one would be darling for that. Really, really do. All right, our focus fabric is this fun holly on the green polka dot. Isn't this fun? So much texture in this and so much interest, but it's just holly. It's great. That's gonna go in our little bauble here. And then we have our off-white that picks up, of course, all of the off-white in our focus. And I don't know if you can see this, but this is actually a white candy cane on here. And it's just darling. It's the perfect number 2 fabric for this quilt. And that goes in all of our background area here. And then our number 3, of course, we can't have a baubles without some bauble fabric. And this is our red with our bows and our baubles here. That's going to go in our 4 patch and in our alternate bauble here. So very, very cute. Now this is a great pattern. If you've been quilting for a little bit longer and you want something unique and novel, this would be a super one. So let's get the kit information for you. It is called Holly Jolly and the number is 8022393. The pattern is Baubles from our Make It Christmas book, and the alternate pattern we are suggesting is Pinwheel +1. Now the third thing I think quilters want is accurate instructions. Now I don't know about you, but if you get into a pattern and you get frustrated and you find out it's not right, it's not fun at all. So here at Fabric Café, we really do pride ourselves in making accurate instructions. And one of the things that we do is whenever we design a quilt, we go through many steps to make sure it is as perfect as we feel it can be right out of the chute. So we do have an editing process that it goes through, and then we send out every single pattern to be made with our pattern testers. Now our pattern testers take our new patterns that are not published yet, and they go through it little bits at a time. They make every bit of it, and they make sure that the fabric measurements work, that there's enough fabric, all of those things. Our pattern testers are invaluable. We absolutely love them. So they are our friends and yours too, so that we make sure that all of those patterns work perfectly. Now, on the rare occasion, which it is very rare for us, that something does slip through and we have a correction, we do have a spot on our website. So if you go to fabriccafe.com and then go to Patterns and Books, under the Patterns and Books tab, there is a section down there called Pattern Corrections. Now we will list anything and all that we find on the pattern that may not be exactly right. Now remember, if we reprint the pattern, so say we print a whole bunch at first and we sell out of those and we're going to send it to press again and get some more, well, we correct that. So if you go on there and you see that your book or pattern says the same thing the correction says, then that means we fixed it and it's all good to go. So it makes it very, very simple, and we really do pride ourselves in great, accurate instructions. And it makes me happy because I know how frustrating it is whenever you're getting in the middle of something and it's just not working. Okay, so then our fourth point is we want easy, fast cutting. So let's look at a quilt and talk about that. So this is our Farmhouse Chic quilt, and isn't this fun? We've got a simple square and a square done in 2 different versions here, and we have written this pattern so that the cutting is super, super simple. And we've got this darling fabric, just like this fabric. So let's go back to the table and let me show you that. Okay, so one of the things that quilters want for sure is easy cutting. Now, in all of our patterns, we do something that really helps speed things up and really makes it simple. We do a lot of strip assembly, so that's one thing. But also, we have a box here. We always separate our cutting instructions in the 3-yard quilt patterns so that they're in their own little section and so that you can very simply identify. Now, as you can see, we also have sectioned them off from fabric 1, fabric 2, and fabric 3. So it's very simple. Now, remember I said that you can flip-flop your 2 and 3 or 1 and 3 or whatever you want to do. Remember, as long as you cut all of the fabric 1 section from 1 yard, all of the fabric 2 section from 1 yard, and all of the fabric 3 from 1 yard. It makes it very, very easy, and you can flip those fabrics around. It's not a problem. Okay, so let's talk about Farmhouse Chic here and how easy this is to cut and put together. So let's start. I've got some pieces and parts here. First thing we're going to do is make a strip assembly. Okay, so whenever you're cutting your fabric, let me just explain something here. So when you look at this, we are not cutting a square and then a rectangle, and then 2 more rectangles. That's not what we're doing. We're going to speed up the process, and it's really going to help your cutting be faster. To do that, we do strip assemblies like this. So we're cutting 1 strip of fabric from selvage to selvage. Now, you know that's much faster than cutting squares, so that makes it very simple. Sew 3 of strips just like that together, just like we've done here. Now, you know me and my pie, okay? I'm gonna cut a slice off so you can see that this piece is just like this. We've just cut one off. So very, very simple. This is the center of our block. Very easy. All righty, now, let me just set this over here. The next thing that I like to do, and now this is a little trick that I do, and I don't know if all quilters do this, but I wanted to share it with you because to me, it really, really speeds things up and it keeps the cutting simple. So we've got our center piece here. This is our unit, and then we have 2 rectangles on each side. I do not cut these rectangles independently. So what I do, I'm gonna grab this back. What I do is I have my unit here, and I have a strip of fabric cut selvage to selvage, and I'm going to actually sew this to the strip, just like so. Now I have an example for you, and I want to show you that. It's already sewn together, so this is what we have here. So just like this. So here's our strip under here. We got our right sides together. We've sewn our unit on. And if I was feeding this through my machine, I would take the next unit, give us some little space, put it here, just like that. Very fast, very simple. Now what that does is it keeps you from having to cut all those little rectangles, which is such a time saver. Oh my goodness. So we've got our strip with our units. Now, the next thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna move all these over. I love how Hannah always keeps me so organized so that all of this is done for you. Now I have a strip here. Now this one we have pressed. The other one I hadn't pressed yet. You can see we have our unit with our strip sewn to it. And I'm gonna move this over before I cut this. You can see it's just like this. Now whenever you go to put this one on, it's gonna be exactly the same. You're just gonna sew this section onto a strip. Simple. Okay, let's give this a quick cut and you can see how easy this is. I've piled all my stuff up. All right. So as you can see here, we have trimmed this side so that it's nice and even. Now I would just turn it around and we're going to trim this side. One of the things I really like to do is line up one of my dotted lines on my ruler with a seam line. That way I'm nice and straight, and give it just a quick cut. And if there was another piece here, I would just take this, move it over, cut it just like that. Very easy. Now this is part of our block. And like I said a minute ago, you're just going to take this piece then, take your next strip, and then you're going to sew it just like so. And then you're going to put another one on and then another one and keep going. Then you're going to go press them, cut them, and that will be the other side. Super simple. Love it. And that's how I save time and energy in cutting. Makes it so easy. Okay, this is darling. This is a darling quilt. Let's talk about the fabric because we don't want to miss that part. All right, our focus fabric here, this is so refreshing. This is just like a clean summer day, like the laundry's been done or something. I don't know, it's just fresh. So our focus fabric, all these gorgeous florals here, it's actually around the border of this square and a square. And I love how the use of the focus fabric on this one is really cool. I love it here. And then our number 2 fabric, these little puffball flowers, these make me chuckle just a little bit every time I see them. This is our number 2, and it's going to go in the center here and then on the border on this one and on our border out here. And I think they coordinate perfectly. I love the way the little puff flower matches the rose here. And then our number 3 fabric is this great green on the border in the center of our alternate block here is our square. Picks up all the beautiful greens in the focus fabric. Just a nice, clean, fresh spring day right here on a quilt. Love it. Okay, kit information on this one is 8022576. It is called Homespun Florals. This is our Farmhouse Chic pattern from the book Easy Does It. We are offering an alternate of Pretty Please. Now, the number 5 point that quilters want is minimal waste. Now, I don't know about you, but I have made quilts in the past, and I finally got the courage to cut into that gorgeous fabric that I was working with. We got it all cut, we got it all put together. I just couldn't bring myself to put that little bit in the trash. You know, I don't know why that is, because it's such gorgeous fabric, you just can't get rid of it. Okay, now what if we had a solution where really you're using almost everything from your 1 yard cut? And that's what we do here at Fabric Cafe. So let me show you an example of how we do that. Okay, oftentimes, and I'm going to use the Farmhouse Chic pattern here that we've already been looking at, we have a pattern and we say a partial strip assemblies. Now, I'm going to explain a partial strip assemblies just a minute because it does 2 things for us. It uses every little bit of our fabric, which is fantastic. But the other thing it does is it allows us to make the largest quilt possible because we are using every single little bit. So it's a really bonus whenever you're doing this. So let me just explain a little bit about partial strip assemblies. Okay, so when we do a normal strip assembly, remember we just went through this with the pieces and parts and we were saying that we do a strip assembly by cutting these long strips. Now these strips are cut selvage to selvage, so all you're doing is measuring here and then just cutting. So it's just one cut, we're not cutting squares, just one strip. Now sometime we say, cut one strip, and then from this strip you're gonna cut X and Y and Z. So in this case, we do have that. So here is one strip. Now I'm gonna just show you what we do. Okay, now it is kind of a long strip, so bear with me for a minute so that we can show you every little bit. So from this particular strip, what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut some extra pieces. So in this case, the first thing I'm gonna cut is a partial strip assembly. And what this is a small piece where we do a little mini strip assembly just to get one more block. But we don't need to make the whole thing because we only need one more block, right? So we're just gonna cut a little one so we get one more block. So I'm gonna put that on our strip here. So that's the first thing we're gonna cut. Now, we have all this left over. We're not gonna throw that away. No, we're quilters, right? The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make some corner blocks. So from this strip, we're also gonna cut 4 corner blocks. As you can see, here's our corner block here. And here's the rest of our strip left over. We're gonna do one here, one there, one there, and one there. Okay, looky there. We're using almost all of our strip. But guess what? We still have a little bit over here we can use. I'm gonna come over here, and from this strip here, I can add a border extension. Now what this means is it allows me to add an extra border to the quilt, making it bigger and using up this little bit. So we're just going to take this and cut it out of this little section here. Easy peasy. That's what a partial strip assembly is, and that is how we use every single little bit of fabric to make a quilt. Now, there's some very minimal waste. Now, these are some great tips that I've given you here. We have so many videos out there now with so much great information. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel and ring the bell that you see down there. Just hit that little bell button, and that way you are notified, because every Tuesday and Thursday we do videos with great tips like this. So don't forget to do that. Now, our next point, our very last point, number 6, is great finished quilts. Now, this quilt is definitely one of my favorites. It is Freedom, and is it not gorgeous? I just love how this goes together. We have this nice big, if you can have focus fabric, I would say that this was the focus block. And then an easy stripe here that goes together in a flash, and doesn't this look gorgeous? With all of the great patterns, all the accuracy, all the great fabric strategies for choosing fabric, easy cutting, all those things, that makes for a great finished quilt, and I know that's what you want. So let's put it on the table and check out this fabric. So this is such a fun fabric. I absolutely love it because it's got a little different twist for Patriotic. I love that the fabric designers are starting to put a little bit of florals and different things in our Patriotic, because I love Patriotic quilts. I think they're so much fun. So we've got this as our focus, and it is the number 1. It's in our stripe here. Now I'm going to just real quick fold this back a little bit so that you can see the star as well, because we've also included this in our star on that big focus block that we were looking at, and it really accentuates this quilt. It's really pretty fast to put together because of all those stripes in the quilt are easy to sew together, and then we've got our really spectacular ring of stars here. So this is our focus fabric. Now our number 2 fabric for this, and this is cool because it's not just a plain number 2 fabric. I love when we can do like a tone on tone with a little bit of texture and movement to it to keep number 2 soft but not boring. Remember, that's one of the things we always want to do. We want easy, soft, but not boring. All right, so here's our number 2 fabric. It's going to be in a stripe as well as the background of our stars. And then our number 3, these great navy stars, the navy fabric with the white stars, perfect. Now it is going to go in all the stars on our ring of stars here, as well as on the border, and it's going to frame it so nicely because the navy here is going to pick up all of the great blues in our flag here, and I think that's really going to tie it together. So it's just fabulous. Now, if you love Patriotic quilts as much as I do, you're going to want to stay tuned because we have a great new book release coming out. It is next week, and you're not going to want to miss all of these great quilts. So make sure you like and subscribe, ring that bell so you get notifications because they are fantastic. Okay, let's look at the kit information on this one. The kit name is Liberty Garden. The number is 8022550, and the pattern is called Freedom. Now today I shared 6 points with you that I think quilters want. What did you think of the list? Do you have things as a quilter that you would like added to the list? I'd love to hear. Put a comment in the bottom and let me know what you want in great quilt patterns. It's Fran Morgan with Fabric Cafe. Thanks for joining us today.